Hey, Mariner fans, welcome to episode 5 of Monday Mojo. I'm Max Schwabi, here with my co-host, Christopher Silva, and producer, Evan Barron, a.k.a. E-Pup. Chris, what'd you do this weekend?
I did a couple things this weekend. Most all of it was surrounding the Seattle Mariners baseball, baby. I obviously watched opening night, and first things first, to touch on that, what a hell of a way to start off the season for the boys. Coming back from being down 5-1, and then 6-1, and then 6-2, and then 7-6, and then it was 7-7, and then that walk-off walk. Jake Fraley, walk-off walk, baby. Literally a walk-off walk.
It was entirely anticlimactic, in my opinion, but it wins a win.
A win's a win. And no, hold on. It's not anticlimactic, because this is something that we've been preaching about Jarred Kelenic. And this is the Jarred Kelenic effect in action and in play. Jarred Kelenic has come in trying to get these guys to learn how to take these more professional at-bats and to make these pitchers work and to get their pitch counts up so we can get into the bullpen. That didn't work as much until we got into the bullpen in like the 7th inning. With the first game, because I forget who's pitching, but he was lights out. And
Gosman,
yeah, he was lights out. We couldn't touch him. But just to say, I mean, we had 9 walks in that game. Unreal. 9 walks in the first game of the MLB season. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a record. Guys got to be trying to come out and getting hits every single time it's their first at bat of the season. They want to get hits. They don't want to take walks. But the professional at-bats that we were able to take and get those walks, that's the sole reason we won that game. A big reason, not the sole reason, but a big reason we won that game. Hell of a game. And then I went to the game also on Friday night. Unfortunately, we did lose that game. But I had some pretty good seats, section 233, right to the left of the press box. And Taylor Trammell was up to bat. He before the game, I was like, if a lefty's up to bat, I'm in foul ball territory. And lo and behold, Taylor, I'm sitting in my seat, and I got popcorn on my lap, my phone on my lap, and I see a ball coming my way, and I get everything out of my lap, and I'm running to my left, and I reach out, the ball hits my hand, and it goes down to the ground, and I pick it up, and I'm like, no way. This is the first ball I've ever gotten. And I'm 27 years old. I felt like I was 12. It was amazing. I was just freaking out. Like, everybody who listens to the show knows my love for the game and my love for the Mariners, and the fact that I've never gotten a ball before until.
Wait, what?
I had never gotten a ball before.
It's been a long journey for Chris to get a foul ball.
No shit.
Yeah, man. There's some stories of me trying. I've gotten close a number of times, and this was the one that actually counted, and it came into my hands so it was in the hands of Johnny Cueto, off the bat of Taylor Trammell, into the hands of Chris Silva. And
wow,
holy cow, I got it right here in my hands as we speak. Taylor Trammell hit it in the middle of the ball, and I'm just freaking pumped. And this baby's going in the trophy case, no doubt about it. But
that's your first foul ball?
That's my first foul ball.
No
man.
way.
Yeah, it was cool. That's cool.
Pretty insane.
Yeah, but for the boys to come out and get a series win, that's huge. And we're not going to be able to win every game, obviously. But for us to be able to win as many series as we can, I mean, I'm coming out and saying this, we're going to shock the league this year. We got some studs that we've been preaching about, and that they all have. It's funny. I was watching the interviews after the games, and Chris Flexen was asked, like, how does it feel, like, getting your first win? They were asking about him. How does it feel getting your first win since it was like 700 plus days since this guy's pitched in the MLB? And he got his first win, and he was being asked, how does it feel? And he just kept saying, it was like, it's great and stuff, but I just wanted to get the series win. Right. That's all he was talking about. Kendall Graveman, he was asked how it was feel. How did it feel, coming in, pitching 2 innings? He's like, yeah, it was good, but I just wanted to get the series win. And the press kept asking these guys, individual things, like, how did it feel? And like the same response across the board was, we just wanted to get the series win. And it's like, this is the mentality the boys need and we want to see. And That's what we were able to see. So, I mean, shit, we're coming out. We were 0-4 last year against the Giants. We had two-game series, and we got swept in both of them. And for us to come back out this year, opening weekend, and to get 2 or 3, and going in with the next week, and this is going to be a test for the boys here against the White Sox.
Yeah.
As Dave Sims said, what are the White Sox going to be this year, Max?
They're going to be a bitch.
Yes, that's what Dave Sims said, and he's true. They are stacked, but this is what I want. I mean, we get James Paxton to come and pitch the second game of the series after Justice Sheffield, and so
are you and I going to see James Paxton? Is that on Tuesday?
That's on Tuesday, baby.
No way.
Yes, we're going to see James Paxton. Yes, sir.
Big Maple. Yep.
Big Maple. For you listeners, Maxie and Christy, we are going to the game on Tuesday.
If you're watching the game and if you hear someone screaming from center field, it's not me. It's Chris.
My voice is, I'll tell you, my throat yesterday was bad. I was yelling a lot. And so for you listeners, I actually also, for you watching on YouTube, I made these business cards, Monday Mojo business cards, and they got our Instagram handle, which you scan it, brings it up to the phone. Boom, you're right at the page. You scan it with your camera. It's awesome. I printed 500 of them, and I was handing them out like candy at that second game of the series, my first game in over a year. And you got to advertise the business, But I was handing them out like candy, as I said, and I handed them out even to San Francisco Giants fans, and 2 of them actually followed us, and one of them DM'd me yesterday on Twitter. This guy gave us some kudos. He was loving it, and he told us that he listened to every single one of our episodes yesterday.
Every minute, every second.
So this guy listened to us for like over 7.5 hours. And I'm just like, I know like most of you listeners are like pretty close friends to either one of us. And that's why you guys are listening. One of us somehow, some way. Yeah. And I wouldn't expect any of you to sit down for 7.5 hours to listen to us. But for this guy to do that, that's crazy. I mean, he was listening to us talk for over 7.5 hours in one day. Like, what the heck? That is insane to me.
Go figure.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I actually want to ask you about what was it like being in Safeco Field? Because we're used to going, or T-Mobile Park, going to these games where there's a lot of fans, especially the opening series. There would be usually like a sold out crowd. But obviously this year with COVID, it's a little bit different. So, you got to get that voice a little bit more extra to make sure the boys hear you and get them pumped up. So what was it like being in that atmosphere with less fans?
It was awesome. It actually, it was easier to be heard because there were less fans. And so my voice carries naturally pretty loud and pretty far. And so I was yelling a lot, nothing like anything bad. I was just yelling. I called some strikeouts, which was great. Slater was down 0-2, and I'm like, hey, Slater, don't swing. He didn't swing. Boom. Strikeout looking by Yusei Kikuchi.
Caught looking? Oh, let's go.
By the way, let's touch on my guy, Yusei Kikuchi, real
10
quick.
strikeouts.
Coming out with 10 strong strikeouts, baby. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. He's going to be he touched 96. That's a lefty touching 96. James Paxton is going to be around that, I hope. I don't know what his velocity was looking like. I forget. But for Yusei to come out and be that dominant, like obviously we didn't get the win. He gave up 3, but he still looked good. And for us to be able to get a win with Marco on the mound, which he pitched terrible, and then for us to, Yusei pitched pretty damn good. Then we got the loss. And so then Chris Flexen coming in, that guy, like we were saying, hadn't pitched forever. But anyway, Evan, I'm getting off topic here. Back to your question. It was awesome, man. It was kind of interesting. The way that they have the seats situation set right now is it's either 2s, 4s, or 6s. That's the groups that you can go into these games. So you have to buy 2 tickets or 4 or 6, no more, no less. And they have those sections set up for the seats are open, but every seat that isn't open is actually zip tied closed right now. And so you can't sit down in them. And like, even if you wanted to try and move seats, they're all zip tied. And so you can't sit down in anything else other than that's open, I guess, which is kind of weird. I don't know. But this is a fun story. I was driving to the game, me and my buddy, and I'm not the biggest Macklemore fan, if I'm being fully honest. But he's got the song My Oh My. Yeah. And as a Manners fan, as a Seattle person, I mean, you hear that song, it's got Dave Niehaus, just it's got the recording of Dave Newhouse calling the call with Cora around at third and Junior sliding home. And it's, we were playing that on the way to the game, and I just started tearing up a little bit, getting so excited. Like I mean, who doesn't? I hadn't been into the T-Mobile Park in over a year. I mean, normally I'm going to 15, 20 games a year, and didn't go to one last year. And just when I stepped foot into that stadium, looking around, smelling the smells of popcorn, of beer, of the field,
garlic fries,
grass, of the garlic fries. I mean, golly, man, it's you guys could tell that we got passion behind this, and it was awesome to be there and to be around other fans and just to talk and chirping. And there were some boys to the left of us, a few sections over, and they were yelling and going crazy. And it was just so much fun to be a part of. And it's good to have baseball back, baby.
Amen. Well, Chris, I wanted to talk about the opening day win, right? Like that's a good, I feel like this is a good indicator for what we might expect for the season, right? Like we certainly didn't win in style, right? And to your point, one of the things that I was certainly upset about, but again, we came away with the win. So that at the end of the day, a win's a win, right? But Marco, like you mentioned, didn't pitch his. He wasn't lights out like Gausman was. But a couple things that I took away from that opening game, right? Which I think dug Marco in a hole, right? He was constantly pitching from behind in the count, that is. I think all three of the home runs that he let happen, the count was 2-0, 2-1, and for a batter, that's hugely advantageous. But Gausman on the other end, right? He went 6 or 7, I think it was 6 innings. And I'm surprised they didn't keep him in or they didn't write him out. But what he had going that our hitters just couldn't figure out was a fastball, splitter, and changeup combo that just threw us off. And me being a pitcher, right, for my 15-year career of playing baseball, as a kid and playing select or what have you, right? He was lights out, and there's no other way of putting it, right? But to your point, the only way that we got that W was purely from the Jerry DiPoto effect. So we call it, right? What's interesting is, I think had you already mentioned this? We went with 9 walks in the game. 9 walks. I mean, it's insane. And statistically, that gives us runs. Yes, but it's certainly not sexy baseball.
Who cares? But who cares? What's sexy?
Exactly.
Who cares what's not? There's one thing I care about: the end of the day stat, a W or a loss.
We care about the standings.
Yes,
right. And it's going to be a long, arduous road, right, against some really talented teams, especially in the West, right? The Astros are 3-0. We're coming at you live on a Sunday with a winning record, and that's what matters.
That's what matters, babe. We're coming with the winning record, and it's just going to the like we've preached on this podcast so far. We are glasses half full kind of guys with the Mariners, and
no, your glass is half full. I'm a pessimist.
Well, let me ask you.
I will come at you live as a realist, but go ahead.
Let me ask you this then. The glass. I'm going to look at the glass as half full. You may look at it as it's half empty. At least there's something in the glass. At least you got water. At least you got something in the glass, Max.
Did you hear that, Evan? That is words of wisdom.
That's words of wisdom, baby.
It's always Chris spreading that positivity and hope with the Mariners.
Biggest thing I want to say on that little phrase that I've been saying lately, is, the glass is half full. You may look at it half empty. At least there's something in it. I want every single Mariners fan to hear that and to think about it in this way, as Willie Bloomquist said, and as we've said before, the Mariners in the 95 game, that's what saved baseball in Seattle. And if you have a chance to watch the SB Nation documentary on the history of the Seattle Mariners, do it, because the Seattle Mariners should not be a baseball team in Seattle. They should not be here. It's so crazy how many things happened that made them stay, and thank God they did, because I've never been in love with anything more than I am with them, and it's awesome. So when I say the glass is half full, and even if it ain't, there's still something in it. We still have a baseball team, and so I never want to experience us not having that team. And so even if they suck, the glass is half empty. Even if they suck, there's still something in that glass. There's still Seattle Mariners baseball, and I don't want that to ever leave. And so glass half full, glass half empty, I don't give a shit. There's still something in it.
Chris, I hear you, and I appreciate that view. I truly do. But again, and this kind of goes back to one of the primary reasons why we're doing this podcast is to, we outside of just kind of jumping on some random season to do this broadcasting that we're doing. We're also doing it because we have a sense that, statistically speaking, right, at some point soon we're going to be in the playoffs. And that in and of itself is a novelty, because we are, we're I was telling a buddy of mine, 20 years, right? And that's the longest streak out of any professional sports, right? Hockey, football, basketball, soccer, you name it, right? We are the most starved, deprived franchise when it comes to the postseason. But anyway, back to your point, I hear where you're coming from with the glass half empty. At least there's something in there. But when you really think about it, for the last 20 years, there isn't anything in the glass.
There is the baseball team. We exist.
Okay.
That's what I mean, is we exist.
Okay. I understand where you're coming from.
And just the fact that there's so many things that happen, and I'm going to say it again here, watch that documentary, The History of the Seattle Mariners, on YouTube by SB Nation. Right. It will just enhance your love for the Mariners. And there's so many crazy things that happened with the franchise. It's unbelievable. We don't have time to talk about all of that. I could, and I could make the time, but I'm sure you listening, you don't want to hear me talk for another hour and a half. So
I certainly don't.
I don't know if I want to hear me talk for that much longer. I can only handle so much of myself, as shockingly as that might sound. But yeah. It's great to see, and I want to bring this up. One of our previous guests, Joe Doyle, he tweeted out earlier this week. He is predicting that Jarred Kelenic, which I believe I've said this as well, Jarred Kelenic would be up by the end of this month. Yeah. And Joe Doyle said, mark my words, Jarred Kelenic will be up before May, be up by May. And so they're doing whatever they're doing in the other site or whatever it's called. I think they're doing like some minor league exhibition games with some other players from other teams. They're just trying to keep them getting reps. And so it's not like he's not playing baseball right now, because the minors don't start until May. And it's interesting that for Joe to say that, it's awesome that he's predicting that. And this guy knows what he's talking about. And so we're going to keep a track on that. And we'll give you the shout out, Joe, if that comes true that you called it. I'm going to give myself a shout out too that I called it as well. But I'm excited for I think that's coming up soon, and I would see Jose Marmoleos going down just because of the way Jake Fraley's been playing. Is that bats, the walks that this guy's taken, he's already had 6 in his first 3 games. That's averaging 2 a game, and he may not be getting contact every time, but a walk's a hit. A walk's as good as a hit. A walk can make you walk off a game. Jake Fraley, bases loaded, bottom of the 10th, walk. I mean,
it's so interesting that that we're your prediction, sending someone down for purely just the fact that another guy in the clubhouse is just getting walks, right? That's just kind of it's funny because we what we expect, right? And the way that historically all the big teams out there, the Yankees, the Astros, right? These guys are hitting the goddamn ball. But meanwhile, we're celebrating simply because we're taking pitches. So again, it goes back to our point that we're not winning in sexy style, but at the end of the day, right? You listeners understand that when it comes to October, it's purely about the record. And we're 2-1 right now. I'm surprised that we don't play on a Sunday and instead we play on Monday. Maybe Chris, you know what the deal is there, but Evan and I were talking. Why are we not having a Sunday matinee today? And then why are we playing tomorrow instead?
I was thinking about this, and my best guess, I'm not sure. I didn't look at the rest of the MLB in terms of their schedule and who's playing tonight and whatnot, but let's look at the Boston Red Sox, the Orioles, and then the Nats and whoever they played. One of those games, I believe, got the opening day game got canceled because of COVID. Another one got canceled because of weather. But I have no idea if they had a game scheduled today. But if they didn't, then I'm assuming playing today to make up for those games. And so maybe the MLB for opening week started on a Thursday, only did 3-game series, so that if something did go awry, that they could then finish the game on Sunday, to avoid having to do a doubleheader later on in the season. And so that's my best guess. I'm not entirely sure on why they did that, but it is ironic with us getting this podcast. We named it Monday Mojo for a reason, a play on Soto Mojo. Plus, we would release on Mondays, typically when games don't get played.
Recorded on a Sunday, presented on Monday.
Dropped on a Monday.
Recorded on a Sunday, dropped on a Monday, baby.
Amen.
Yes. But I mean, I don't know too much about that, in all honesty. But I mean, it's just the way it's going to work out. And then we're going to start a new series tomorrow, which I'm freaking pumped for. This is going to be a true test of what we can bring. It's early in the season, but if we can pass this test and if we can win this series here, I mean, we got a good chance of really getting that momentum to carry. And, baseball and any sport in general is going to be a momentum sport. You're going to want to get as much of it as early as you can as possible so you can start on top and don't have to work your way back up, I don't have too much of an answer for you there, Max.
But I think what's also like I kind of want to expand on your point, Chris, with this upcoming series and how important it is and what's going to show us about this team. I think from my evaluation from this team from the first 3 games is that they're not afraid of the moment. Taylor Trammell, he was in Double-A last year and he had a couple strikeouts in his first few games, but I thought his first major league hit. Want to give a shout out to Taylor Trammell because hit one in the gap in right center, double, and so he's got 2 RBIs on the year and. The guy just keeps battling, and Evan White's been having some good at-bats here and there. And when with the Mariners down 6 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning to come back and, not be afraid of the moment right there, I think that they're ready. They're hungry, and they want to help support Seattle and all that.
Oh, 100%, 100%. That's all they want to do. They just want to win. And each and every single one of them say that every single time. It's kind of what I was talking about earlier in some episodes with like these young guys coming up group by group, but they've all pretty much kind of played together already. And they've developed this camaraderie within themselves and within the team that it's a young squad that has, there's not really any stats behind them to prove that they're going to be good or prove that they're going to be bad. It's just an unknown kind of thing. And so when other opposing teams are planning against us, they don't know much about these guys that we have on our team. So they don't know really yet how to plan for them. And they're going to find out throughout the course of the season here, like, oh, who can hit a slider low and away? Who's going to swing at that all the time? That's what pitchers are going to be trying to figure out. They were able to do that with Evan White last year, and they could see like what he couldn't hit. But Evan White's coming back strong. His batting average wasn't where you wanted to be in spring training simply because it's where it started. But the way he ended spring training, I mean, he led the team in RBIs in spring training, and then he's got 2 already in 3 games. He's scored 3 runs. I mean, this guy's so far, I mean, he's hitting 230 or 231 right now. And it's only 13 at bats. But I mean, for that to see that at the first series of the game, I mean, that shows a little bit of patience that he's had at the plate and better swing decisions. And he's producing kind of where we need our first baseman to do. Everybody really is producing well, except for JP Crawford on the plate. And JP Crawford had an error, maybe two. I think he's maybe had 2 errors already, but he did have a nice pick to end the game yesterday. He had a nice pick at shortstop, short hop, and threw a strike to first base, game over. So that was, I guess, kind of reassuring. But as Joe Doyle asked us in the interview we had with him, he wanted to ask a question. He said, where do you see JP Crawford next year? And we were talking about, he's got to pick up his bat. He's hitting like 111 right now. He's struggling, and it's it's not jump to conclusions. It's first series of the season, but it gets you thinking like, okay, what could we be doing next year when there's some shortstops hitting that market? And I would love to get Corey Seager on the team. He's going to be a free agent. And,
my ass, dude.
Kyle, let's get some recruit. Kyle's got to start the recruiting process this season. Yeah.
And then to touch on Kyle Seager, in the game I was at on Friday, I think he was like 0 for 4. But 3 of those outs he hit on the button. I mean, he hit that ball on the button, and it just went, unfortunately, right to somebody, and he got out. But that's the way like baseball is. But if he just can continue doing that, just hit the ball on the button, I mean, statistically speaking, he's going to find hits, and he's going to find grass, and it's going to get down. And then it's funny, he hit a dinker of a hit, and that one dropped into left field. But I'm excited to see what Seager does this year. I think he's gonna be a real strong suit. And then when we get Kyle back, Kyle Lewis, that is. I mean, you guys just look at our lineup. I mean, Mitch Haniger, Kyle Seager, Evan White, Ty France, baby. That guy, his home run was the hardest hit home run of. There wasn't a single home run hit harder last year. It was like 110.9 miles per hour.
Exit velo
was the exit velo for Kyle Lewis last year on a home run. But then Ty France this year already, it was 111.2 exit velo. So that's the hardest hit we've had in the last 2 years, and that one just jumped off the bat.
You know what I found out before this call? Ty France is 19 days younger than I am.
Jesus.
Are we old, or are they young, or are they old?
No, we've definitely surpassed that age. I mean, you remember growing up? It is nuts. I remember growing up, and like at the time, I was like, "Oh, these guys are my age." Like, "Oh, this is weird." But I was always like thinking, like, "Okay, in a couple of years, like I'm gonna be looking back and be like, okay, now I'm getting older, and they're all staying the same age-ish." I guess weird way to look at it, maybe. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying there, Max. I mean, now it's weird being fans and like. Yeah, as we're like climbing up the ladder. We're 27. Like let's not get crazy.
No, I understand, but we're also watching March Madness too, and I was watching the Zags yesterday, and you think about it, and these kids are 5-6 years younger than us, and some of us, I grow a mean beard. Chris, you grow a mean beard as well, but some of the facial, it's just these guys are 6 foot whatever. And they grow meaner mustaches and beards than we could have ever dreamed. But that's off topic. But I was thinking, and I was telling Evan this before we started recording, but it's just interesting to see. And I was going through our 26-man roster, and a lot of these guys are 23. JP Crawford, I think, is 25. I think he might be 26 actually, but it's just.
Ty France is 26. I think JP is 25.
Yeah. Ty France is 26 because he's 19 days younger than I am.
There you go.
But it's pretty mind-boggling. Yeah, well, it is kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
But speaking on the Zags, I don't know if you saw it, Chris. I was telling Max when Suggs hit that shot, it was just in the middle of the 6th inning, and all of a sudden you hear the fans just going crazy. And then it also pans on Marco Gonzalez, and Marco's giving the 3 sign, and he's like pumping up the fans, and
Yes.
it was the inner Zags just coming out of him because he went to Gonzaga and pitched for them, obviously, and
For you
that was cool to
listeners,
see.
for you listeners, real quick backstory on me and the Gonzaga, just Gonzaga in general. I went to Washington State, which was 71 miles away from Spokane, and a lot of my friends that I went to high school with, a lot of them went to Gonzaga, and I have loved hating Gonzaga. I love to hate Gonzaga when they lost our freshman year, which is 2012, 2013, whatever. They lost in the Sweet 16, I believe, to Wichita State, and I loved every second of that. And I love my friends, but I love giving them shit for when their team doesn't do well. But
we have a lot of
this
Gonzaga
year,
listeners.
Yes, and so let me finish. This year, I have been extremely excited for them. It's been really cool to watch. I am on the Gonzaga bandwagon this year. I'm rooting for them. I want to see my friends because this is the year. I mean, to do an undefeated season. And I know this is a baseball podcast. I know this is a Manners podcast, but for you Gonzaga listeners, hey, hats off to you guys. I'm hoping to God you can beat Baylor and get that championship and bring it to bring Washington a championship, a natty. That would be freaking insane. It's really cool to see. And then Evan, as you're saying, I mean, to see the fans in the stadiums, they're on their phone and they're watching the game as they're watching the baseball game. They're watching both at once, and then that shot by Jalen Suggs goes in, and everybody's losing their mind, going nuts. That's a pretty cool thing to see within the stadium, and it's just, I mean, that's just the aesthetic of fans being back. You know, it's the aesthetic of them in the stadium and in the stands, and that was really cool to see. And then Marco's reaction, it's just that's beautiful stuff. I like seeing that. And so to you Gonzaga listeners, let's wait one more. Job ain't done. Job not done yet. As my
job ain't done.
As the late Kobe Bryant said, job ain't done. And so keep pushing. You guys got this. Let's get Baylor. Let's get them.
One of the things that you listeners probably are already aware of is we don't have a guest this week, and that is telling. Well, and number one, it's intentional because we can get whatever guests we want. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah, I keep shooting my shot. Shoot.
That's right. Shoot or shoot. And but this week, intentionally, we didn't get a guest because there's a lot to talk about, just given the beginning of the season. But I've run out of things to talk about.
we got some questions from the dugout too.
Yes. Let's do some questions.
Let's do some questions from the dugout. Hold on real quick. Let's do a little introduction. So we started this questions from the dugout 2 weeks ago. First week we got some good questions. Second week we got some good ones coming back up. And so without further ado.
So we kind of talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the episode about Jarred Kelenic, when he's going to be coming up. When do you guys think Julio is going to be called up? He just turned 20 years old. I know he's still young, but I saw that was part of the question. So obviously for our listeners, we want to address that.
Julio is going to have to hit like 750 to get brought up.
What?
This year. Yeah. He's not getting brought up this year. Not a chance.
Oh, no. I agree with you there. Oh, so you're saying
the only way that he's going to get brought up is if he's absolutely blowing it out of the freaking water.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. He's got to hit like 750 and hit like a home run every other game. It's just right. It's just not going to happen. And so like, that's okay. It's okay. Yeah. We're really like, I mean, once we got Jarred in the lineup this year, I mean, shit, maybe I could be wrong, but maybe if we're fighting for the playoffs and if we're fighting for a division title this year and Julio's going off, I mean, anything is possible. Shout out Kevin Garnett again.
Of course.
Anything is possible. But Julio's not coming up till next year. Jarred, as we said previously in this show today, Jarred's probably coming up by the end of this month. It's April. He's gonna be up in May.
Well, that's why we weren't so surprised by the fact that he didn't make the initial 26-man roster, right? It was intentional in the sense that we have all of our solid position players, right? But why is it that, and again, I know the question was addressed more for Julio Rodriguez, but I mean, again, given what Chris said, he's kind of out of the question at this point. We will see him soon, and he will be a fantastic Mariner. But Jarred Kelenic, as far as that goes, right? Why is it that we're so excited about him outside of his raw talent? But when it comes to, and I'm rambling here.
We're excited. We're excited about Jarred, and yeah, his raw talent is 75% of that excitement. The other 25% is just the type of guy that this guy is. He, as every other one of our young guys, they're not really giving a damn about the personal accolades. They're not giving a shit about who's going to be rookie of the year, who's going to be getting their gold gloves. Like every single one of them, they just want to win. That's all they want to do. And that's like why he was so upset about not getting brought up, because he simply just wants to help this team win.
Is that kind of like what we were asking Joe Doyle about? It's the holistic aspect of
Jesse Smith. We asked Jesse that.
Or Jesse Smith. Right.
It's
the holistic side of a ball player. And that has a lot of value in an individual playing for our organization, because at the end of the day, right, like we have a team that is solely focused, or what it seems like, solely focused on just winning, right, and winning series, right. When folks are getting interviewed in a post game, they're more focused on not themselves, but hey, we came away with a series win, and that's what matters, right? At the end of the day, where do we stand in the standings? Where do we stand in the, I guess not the stats, but, to that extent, I think Jarred Kelenic is going to be a great addition, and you bet your ass he's going to find himself a spot on this roster in the next month.
Oh, 100%. I think Jose will get sent down. Jose Marbeleos will get sent down. Jarred Kelenic gets brought up, and he takes over in left field. No, I don't know, man. That's going to be the tough spot. Like what happens?
See, that's what's going to be a little bit tricky, right?
Yeah, we have so many outfielders right now. Like Jose, yeah, he'll go down. Maybe Jake Fraley will have to go down too. I don't see Taylor Trammell getting brought down. No. Taylor Trammell, he showed some athleticism, and he had that nasty sliding catch in center field. And I do want to bring this up as well. In opening day, this was Mitch Haniger's first game back since 2019. And that sliding catch he had in the top of the 10th with a runner on third base, 2 outs, Buster Posey hits a dinker into right field. It's close to the line. We had the semi shift on. Mitch Haniger had to get on his horse and get over to the line. He slides and makes that basket catch, allowing us to go into the bottom of the 10th and get a walk-off bases loaded walk. I mean, damn, Mitch Haniger, welcome back.
Money.
It was money. And then yesterday, he gets his first home run since in his first game back. And this was a high heater after like 2 sliders. It was, I believe, 0-2 count. He had 2 sliders. And then he comes back with a high heater.
It was an 0-2 count?
0-2 count, high heater up and in. And Mitch Haniger turns on it and blasts it into the bullpen. I mean, that was great to see him keep those hands in and get the barrel of the bat around quick enough to smack that and keep it fair.
As a batter, I don't understand how you can hit a home run on an 0-2 count. I would be scared shitless.
I know how you do it.
Why? How's that?
The barrel hits the ball and then it goes over the fence. Yes.
Yes. Some people don't appreciate the game of baseball. And one of my old coaches used to say this: there's nothing harder than hitting a 90+ mile per hour fastball. They're just, it's not. But if it's right down Broadway and you give it to someone like Mitch Haniger,
it wasn't right down Broadway though. His was up and in, baby. That was tough.
Up and in.
Wow, that's very tough to hit it high up like that.
It was up and in.
Yeah,
he had to get the barrel around quick, keep the hands in, tucked in tight, and boom, baby, he did it. I mean, that's his first homer since 2019. Hell yeah, let's go, baby.
What other questions from the dugout do we have?
Hold
on. So real quick to answer that question from the dugout, and I know we rambled. The question was, when can we expect to see Julio and Jarred? Jarred, we will see at the latest end of next month, at the earliest the start of next month. So there's your time frame. Julio, not till next year, unless he's batting 750 and hitting a home run every other day.
And the Mariners are in contention for a playoff spot.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
Yeah, I was saying contention for a division series, a division title, excuse me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not a wild card. I don't see him coming up for the wild card, like, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question that we had was, what's your guys' prediction for the win-loss ratio for the Mariners this season?
Yeah, we addressed this a couple episodes ago, but we didn't really go to a direct answer. What? Because Chris, you expect them to be in the playoffs next year. You didn't necessarily staple your prediction to be this year, and frankly, neither do I. But which makes me wonder why we're doing this podcast in the first place. But my take on it is we're looking at, I think, roughly a 500 season. I'm thinking, let's see, 162. I'm thinking, I think we're going to come out on top. I think we're going to come out with a winning record. I think we're going to go 86 and 74.
I love that, Max. That is a half.
Wait.
That's a half glass. That's a half glass full kind of guess right there. What did you say?
Well, 86 and 74. But does that add up to 162? It does, right? 86 and 7.
You are asking the wrong guy. What?
Whoa. No, 86 and 74 doesn't add up. That adds up to 160. So I'm thinking 86 and 76.
Okay, 10 games over 5.
Yeah.
All right, 86 and 76, Max. That is.
Are you gonna hold me to this?
Oh, fuck yeah! Of course I'm holding you to that. 80. Okay.
You think that's a little ambitious?
Hell yeah, that's ambitious, and I love every bit of that. But you know what that means?
What?
I'm the glass half full kind of guy, and so if that's your guess, my guess has got to be bigger than that. It has to be. It has to be. I'm the glass half full kind of guy. I'm Mr. Optimistic over here, and I can't go lower than you. I can't guess lower than you.
God forbid.
I think let's see. I'll go 12 games over 500. 88 wins.
88 and 74.
88 and 74. All right. 88 and 74. Evan, what are you thinking, my guy?
I'm gonna be a little more of a realist, and I think
Here we go.
I can see them winning 80, 75 games, I think, around that. But I just think this team still needs to grow a little bit more. I think that bullpen is going to be a strength down the road, but it's still young. You saw Montero, I think he gave up they got the W in the first game, but he gave up that home run that tied the game in the top of the ninth. So he's still learning how to pitch in the big leagues.
He did, but he gave up that dinger, and then it was ground out, strikeout. Yeah,
I think this, it's Jake Fraley's first full season in the big leagues, Tramel's first full season. Kyle Lewis, it's going to be his second year, full season in the big leagues. And I think he's going to obviously progress, but I just say, pump the brakes a little bit. And I would love to see them obviously win 86 or 85 or around that ballpark, but I think I'm going to stick with 75.
And then I've got a question to segue.
So what's your statistic? 75?
75 and I think
a question
80.
A question on top of a question from the dugout.
I think it's I don't know. I write words. I don't really do math. I wasn't
just we'll call it 75 wins is what I'm going with.
Let me see. I can do it actually real quick.
Here, I got my calculator. Let's do 162 minus 75. That's
87, 75 and 87. So 12 games under 500.
12 games under 5. Okay.
But I could also see them going 80 and 82 as well. So around that ball. I just think,
But your official guess is 75. 75 wins. And how many losses?
75 and 82. Or 80, okay. 75 and 75 and 87 losses.
All right. And
75 and 87.
And Max, yours?
What? I already said 86. It, and I don't feel like repeating it because all of a sudden I don't know if we can actually do that.
Yeah, well, you said it, so it sucks to suck, my guy. But you saying that and starting off with that made me have to go higher, so I might even be in a worse boat than you. But but I might even be in a better boat because if I'm right, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
But this does, we said something a second ago here that it brought this up to my mind. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. We saw this in the first game of the year, starting extra innings with the guy on second base. Obviously, we had that last year, but I mean, for me, like when I was watching the top of the 10th, and I'm like, all right, if we can get out of this with no runs, we're gonna win the game. I mean, it can be such an advantage for the home team, because if they can just hold them, I mean, you got the momentum.
Base hit.
It's one base hit, and I'm curious, what are you guys' thoughts around that?
That's a good point, man.
I think I think it's cool because it adds a little bit more suspense to the game and it's not dragging as long. But if I'm a fan, though, I kind of like seeing that extra innings play out, and like I just don't want the game to ever end when I'm in the stands. But I think baseball has had a reputation. I think Goldie talked about it too, how it's always been the same for so many years, and it needs some changes and some personality. But I just think adding this, like you said, it just adds some more drama to it, and teams can plan around it more, and it adds a little bit more strategy and all that behind it. So I like it.
William Bloomquist hates it.
Yeah. Oh, I saw his tweet about. He's like,
maybe
he's like,
what's next? Yeah. He goes. Maybe we can have Ghost Runners next. #ridiculous. So he's not a fan of this.
No. I kind of take Willie's side on this. I think,
being a pitcher, I mean, of course, I'm sure you do.
No, yeah. As a pitcher, right? Like that immediately puts yourself in a disadvantage, because you should be able to give up a base hit and not have to worry about that base runner if you have 1 or 2 outs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden you give up a base hit and there's your ball game. And I think that goes into a lot of the other rules that are coming out of the minor leagues, right? Purely the second base runner given automatically for extra innings is purely for making sure that the viewer is keeping focus on the game, right? Yeah. Versus,
and to shorten the game. They want to shorten the games.
Exactly. But at what cost?
Yeah. And there's another rule that they're talking about with the computerized strike zone. And
Tom Murphy was upset about that.
Yeah. So Evan, maybe we can play Evan, I don't know if you can find this, but when we release this, maybe you can play a little snippet right now of Tom Murphy's interview. So plug that in.
Yeah, with Ryan Rowland-Smith.
Yeah.
As far as from a catching standpoint, how much that would change catching?
I have a very strong opinion about that, and I think it's one of the worst things possible for the game. Selfishly, as a catcher, it takes the entire nuance of catching out of the game. The reason why everybody's not a catcher is because it's extremely difficult, and there's an extreme amount of variables that go into every facet of catching. And so when you take that away, you just diminish the value of that position. With the robo ump, it's going to become like, just don't let the ball get by you and get in a position to throw your best to second base. Like, the amount of focus it takes to play the game pitch by pitch as a catcher is insane when you're truly committed to making every pitch look like a strike, blocking every ball in the dirt and throwing out every runner, and also calling a game on top of that and managing emotions with your pitcher. Like, it's such a strategic position. And when you bring in the robo ump, it totally takes, I would say, the majority of that away.
From a catcher's perspective, one of the arts of catching is framing the ball.
Absolutely.
And if you're phenomenally good at that aspect of the game as a catcher, I mean, this just brings your value up as a player so much for the organization, which I've really liked seeing Luis Chiren's frame the ball, or his effort to frame the balls. That's been pretty great to see out of that young guy. But that's a really interesting one, because that takes away part of somebody's job that's not an ump.
Yeah. And you talk about the need for umpires in the first place, right? Like, what's the point of having a first base umpire if you're just going to review every single play that happens there? Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
Like if there's a bang bang play right there.
I mean, who was the umpire that ruined the perfect game or the no hitter?
I think it was Jim Joyce.
Yeah. So I mean, there's your big example. This was I forget the team. This is
it was the Detroit Tigers. I forget the pitcher's name, but it was it was a ground ball to Miguel Cabrera at first base, and Miguel Cabrera tossed it to the pitcher who was running towards first base to get the out. And they said the runner beat out the throw. But it was clearly, when you look at the replay, it was obvious that it was an out, and everybody knew it in the ballpark.
Well,
and actually, that umpire was so distraught that the next game, because umpires call a series and they switch around, and he went, he was like crying, he was in tears. But what was tight is that pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. He obviously he wanted that perfect game, but he accepted it, and he knew where that umpire was coming from, so he didn't hold it against him and bash him in the media and all that. So
Max, I'm curious from your perspective as the pitching that you did in your career. What if that ever happened to you, man? What are your reactions? You got a perfect game. Was it a perfect game or a no-hitter, Evan?
I think it was a perfect game. Let me see. It was a perfect game.
It was a perfect game. Okay, yeah.
Well,
so Max, I'm curious then on your thought there. You got a perfect game pitching, right? Let's say you're playing prep, Seattle Prep, and you got a perfect game. That's our rival, right? We went to Blanchette, so for you listeners who did not know, Max, if you're pitching, you got a perfect game. It's the last out. First base clearly gets the guy out. Jim Joyce, he calls him safe. I mean, as a reaction from a pitcher, are you able to? I don't know if I'd be able to really forgive that umpire. Like, I don't care how sad he is and how regretful and remorseful he is about making that wrong call. Fact of the matter is, he made the wrong call in a chance where you may not be able to ever do that thing again.
Yeah, no, I'd go Lou Piniella on his ass.
I would too.
End of story. That's it.
End of story. Lou Piniella kicking the hat into the center field.
Dude. But I would be a player going Lou Piniella on the umpire's ass, right? And I've never been kicked out of a ball game, right? And as a pitcher, you got to stay composed and you got to be best friends with the home plate umpire, so he gives you a good strike zone or what have you. But I'd lose my shit. But it depends on the state. Well, at the end of the day,
that's the state. The state. What it depends on is the fact that it's a perfect game.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say it depends on the stakes, but at the end of the day, if you're a pitcher and you've got a perfect game in the 6th inning, if you're playing 7 innings, or the 8th inning, if you're playing 9, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I take that back. All that matters is you get the win, right? But if
you can't get a perfect game if you don't get the W.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that touche. But if you're out there busting your ass, and something that shouldn't be, called stolen, exactly. When you look at something and it gets ripped away from you, then you're going to show some emotion. And to answer your question, if that were to happen to me, might lose my cool. And that's all I'll say.
That's all I'll say. All right, Evan, we got any other questions from the dugout?
One of the questions I wanted to address: does Max Schwabe look like a human Sid the Sloth? What's your answer, Chris?
That's a resounding yes. That's a resounding yes, Max. You are a celebrity. You're an animated celebrity. Sid the Sloth from Ice Age. Nobody looks better as a human Sid the Sloth than you do.
Yeah, you know what? I own the fact that I look like Sid the Sloth. For the longest time, throughout high school, everyone was like, "Oh, Max, you look like Sid the Sloth," and I was like, "My ass, dude, I don't." But that was just me being in denial. So
you've accepted it now.
Yeah.
You embrace it.
Yeah,
you embrace it. Great.
There are other people that I'm friends with actually that look more like Sid the Sloth, but I do embrace it and
take the crown. Be Sid the Sloth. Get a Sid the Sloth poster hanging up your bed.
Right there?
Yes, right there. Yeah. No, I don't want you to replace that skyline. For you listeners listening on Spotify, iTunes, not on YouTube, Max has got the skyline, Seattle skyline posted above his bed. But I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool if he got Sid the Sloth posted up there too, somewhere in his room. Just kind of a.
What if I put it up somewhere where I could wake up every morning and just see Sid the Sloth?
Okay,
like a portrait.
Then you put it on your ceiling. above your
Oh
bed.
my
You're
God.
ceiling above your bed, so you go to sleep looking at yourself, and you wake up looking at yourself.
That would be psychotic.
That would be psychotic.
Anyway, I'm curious. Are we allowed to ask who asked that question?
yeah,
Do we know who it was?
we don't know who it was.
Oh,
we
okay.
we do, but we haven't been shouting people's names out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Cool. Next question.
So
Last question.
those were all the questions that I saw, but
Okay.
I do want to remind our listeners that we'll throw it out there or another question segment earlier this week, and you can DM us, send us questions. We're always willing to address it, but I actually want to follow up and have a question for you guys, kind of going into this week. Is the Mariners got 3 games against the White Sox at home, and then they go 3 games on the road and play the Minnesota Twins. So, what's your guys' prediction for this week? How are the Mariners going to do?
Well, look, Dave Sims said it better than anyone. The White Sox are going to be a bitch.
Yep.
So that said, I think the series for the Sox coming to town, I think that's going to be a very telling series.
Mhm.
And again, it's early in the season and there's 158 more games, right? But I think my understanding, just with the raw talent that the Sox have, I think that we're going to lose the series, but we're not going to get swept.
Mhm.
It's a 3-game series?
3-game series.
And then, I think we're going to go 1-2. And then I think when we hit the road to Minnesota, I think, if I'm being true to my 84 wins, I think that we're going to take that series. I don't think we're going to sweep the Twins, but I think we're going to go to Nelson Cruz and we're going to take 2 out of 3 is my prediction. Right.
Okay.
And then what we come back home and play the Astros, and that's an entirely different story. Anyway, Chris,
Max, real quick on that, Max. Are we getting tickets to the Astros game too? We got to go to one of those. We got to, because the reason I have to go. I already, for you listeners, we brought this up earlier in the show, not this show, but earlier in some other episodes, we talked about Oscar the Grouch night. And I did purchase for $88 my Oscar the Grouch adult size costume. So I now have on its way in Amazon, Oscar the Grouch costume. So I have to go to one of these games, and I have to spend a pretty penny to sit close to these guys, because I have got to get there and let them know Oscar the Grouch is in the stands ready to talk some smack to the cheaters.
Yeah,
By the way, quick shout out to the Oakland A's for playing my girl Carrie Underwood before he cheats. When the Astros were coming up to bat, they played that through the loudspeakers. The fans were going nuts. And for you listeners who don't know who Carrie Underwood is, she's a gorgeous, phenomenal, talented. I love her to death. Country singer. She's just so great. But they played the song before he cheats, and obviously they cheated, so it was great. And as Goldie said, there's not many rivalries in baseball in general right now, and he was never advocating. Goldie never advocated for hurting another player. That's nothing that he should advocate for. But the fans were cheering when these guys were getting thrown at and getting hit, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't cheering for that as well. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but at the end of the day, they cheated tough, and they need to be held accountable. And that's going to be our job as fans. We're going to continue to hold them accountable. Agreed. For the White Sox series, Max, I would agree with you that we get 1 of 3, but I'm guaranteeing, or almost guaranteeing, a win with James Paxton on the mound. If Justice Sheffield can get the win on Monday, I strongly believe we win that series. And so as long as Justice can come out firing on all cylinders and really take it to this talented White Sox lineup, if we can get that first W, that would be huge. Justin Dunn, this is going to be a tough test for him on the last game of the series on Wednesday. I hope to God he can come out firing and pitching real strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing the most positive, glass half full predictions.
That's
all we do.
That's what you're going to be hearing. And so, feel free to bash us on Twitter and Instagram and whatever if we're wrong. I embrace it, and
We got nothing to lose here.
We got nothing to lose.
You know,
we literally have nothing to lose. You know, we're not getting paid for this podcast. You know,
no, we're not.
We
Not
got
yet.
nothing. We got nothing. Not yet.
Not yet.
If
Yeah,
anyone,
not yet.
if anyone wants to pay us, just let us know.
Yes.
we're around.
Yeah, I could start a GoFundMe. A GoFund us.
Monday Mojo, Monday_Mojo.
They're gonna want to get in.
that's
They're gonna want to get in early before this thing takes off. So
Yeah,
calling for some early
it's like-
investors.
It's like it's like Dogecoin, right? Like you get in early and you're gonna see a massive ROI. Okay.
A massive ROI.
We are coming up on an hour, guys. Is there anything else we want to talk about before sending our listeners back to their daily, weekly duties?
There is, you know, kind of just to touch on what we were just talking about, trying to get this show to the moon. As I love taking a peek at the
You do
stats
love doing this.
in the overviews of where our listeners are coming from and how many more we keep getting each week. The numbers continue to climb week after week. We get more and more views on each and every episode. And taking a look at the overview of our podcast channel, which gives us a heat map of where our listeners have come from around the world. And as we have said previously, you know, obviously we have obviously the majority of our listeners is in America and whatnot. But you know, we have touched in 3 different provinces. All right. I know on last episode I said providences, like Providence, Rhode Island.
You did?
I did. Yeah, I said
Yeah.
I
Providence.
didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I caught it right away.
Oh, we look like assholes, man.
I look like I do.
You look like an
I
asshole.
I do. But
Well, we look like assholes for not catching it. But
sure. But we have now expanded to like I said, the United States, Canada, the UK, Germany, 2 more, Mexico and Thailand. Mexico, a little bit more reasonable. It's a little bit closer to us. Thailand? That's a ways away. That's across a couple ponds, I think. I don't know, maybe just one pond. Me and geography, we don't know our shit.
the great pond, that's called the Pacific Ocean. That's
That
what
one.
it is.
Yeah. Is it would you go across the Pacific to get to Thailand? Would you go west?
Yes.
You wouldn't
of
go.
course
Okay.
you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a long trip to go
That'd be-
the other
Right.
way.
Well,
Yeah.
what if you're Kyrie Irving? Do you go east?
No.
If you're-
I understand where you're coming from, but no. Kyrie Irving would catch a connecting flight to LAX, and then from LAX he would go to Thailand. I don't think Kyrie Irving.
But the Earth is flat if you're Kyrie Irving, so you can't go so far west to where it brings you back. He's essentially saying you can't go back.
Hold on. We do not promote the view of the Earth being flat.
No, it's round. It's round. We all know the Earth is round. Kyrie Irving doesn't. So
if we have any flat earthers listening to this podcast, I'm very sorry, but you're a dumbass.
No, if we do have any flat earthers listening to this podcast, let us know how you would get to Thailand. Would you just go east the entire time? Or because you can't go west, apparently you fall off.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Blow my mind for me, please. Explain that.
You know what? Actually, for our next guest, for you listeners out there, we're going to have a flat earther on the podcast, and we're just going to spend an hour asking him or her what the fuck they're thinking. But no, I think Kyrie Irving or someone on the East Coast. I don't know why we're using Kyrie Irving, but I like it.
Because he said that he's a flat earther and everybody.
That's right.
He's a flat earther. That's why I brought him up.
God. All right. Well, Kyrie, if you're listening to this,
Kyrie,
come talk to us.
Let's get out of our seats here. That's a good place to end it, I think. Kyrie Irving, if you're listening to this podcast, sure. Well, hey, Monday Mojo, recorded on Sunday, dropped on a Monday. We appreciate you listening, and we got a big series coming up against these White Sox, and so let's take it to them. And we predicted a 1-win, 2-loss series, but let's get a sweep. You know, I don't care what I predicted. Prove me wrong, boys. Prove me wrong. And what a start to the season. We have a winning record. We're 2-1 when we won that first game in dramatic fashion. It couldn't have been any more pretty. It could have been more pretty, but I don't care. We got the W. That's all that matters. And it's going to be fun seeing Justice Sheffield, James Paxton, and Justin Dunn. The 3 J's. Look at that.
Amen.
Justin, James, and Justice. Jeez,
if you listeners find yourself watching the game on Tuesday, again, if you hear someone shouting from the center field bleachers, it's going to be Chris Soba, not me, but Chris and I will be there. If you guys have any questions or if you have any requests, let us know. But we'll be handing out our Monday Mojo business cards like candy. But outside of that, yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, there it is. But outside of that, we appreciate you listening. I'm Max Schwabe here with my co-host Chris Soba and our producer Evan Barron, aka EPUP. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay safe, and as always, go Mariners.
Go Mariners.